you get a feeling for this group of people that really cares about this stuff and realizes that improving yourself is the best way to help everybody else. And I think that you would agree with that, because when you upgrade your own consciousness, you got a lot more to share. You can't just say, do what I'm saying and not what I do.
Okay.
So whatever you want to share, there's no rules.
Okay. I'm James Robert Deal. I'm an attorney and a broker and a political activist. And I'm pretty nonpartisan. I think that there are good and bad in both parties. I am a very strict vegan vegetarian for the last 35 years. My dad started having heart attacks when he was in his 40s, and I started having troubles when I was in law school. And so I went extreme, and I don't expect everybody to be extreme, but let me just say that the more vegetables you eat, the more healthy you'll be. And so I advise people, if you look at my videos on jamesrobertdeal.org, there's a drop down for videos. See me in the garden talking about all the different things that I grow. Now, if you don't have room for a garden, get into sprouting, because you can make your own garden indoors. But if you do have some space, grow food. It has a very therapeutic effect. My wife and I like to work on it together.
Nice.
Now, I started off from a very religious background and went to seminary. And at a point, I decided that it was more important what you do than what you believe. That doctrine was less important than having laws that are just and enforced. And so I decided to go to law school. But I never gave up my calling, although it's rather secular. But I respect people who are religious. I just hope that the focus can be on what we do and behaving ethically, stopping the cycle of violence. And that's what these incomplete documents we have from the New Testament about turning the other cheek. That's a reference to avoiding returning violence, if doing so will stop the cycle of violence. Avoid returning violent language with violent language, if doing so will stop the cycle of violence. And the do unto others advice comes straight out of Judaism, and the negative version of it is don't do to others what you would prefer that they not do to you, which is very similar. But Jesus' version goes further and says, let's do unsolicited good deeds. Which is present in the Old Testament, love your neighbor as yourself. So we're all in this together. We all should regard the human population as a big family. We're all related through God and Adam. And I must say that things are looking pretty bleak. We're being poisoned with Roundup, fluoridation. We're going to be bombarded with smart meters and 5G. And so we need to be pretty firm about opposing such things. And I advise you to spend a good time every day meditating. Just keep your mind silent and try to think of what is important to you and what you can do. I'm 71, and if I'm lucky, I might live another 10 or 20 years. I'm curious as to what the future will bring. I hope that I hope that we avoid a cataclysmic war. At the same time, I hope that we can be more wise about justice in our environment. So feel free to explore my website, jamesrobertdeal.org. And what do you think, Richard?
I think that's great. I mean, to me, my feeling is that it's really our honor to get to meet you and talk to you, and that somebody willing to put a well-intentioned presence into not just positions of authority, because whether you get into those or not, you're reaching a lot of people. And, the way to lead is, like we were saying, by example. And I think your sincerity and being willing to do all these things in your own life is what gives what you say power. And power should not be something damaging. It should be something uplifting. And the fact that you're setting an example of that is great. So I feel really grateful for that.
And you too.
Well, we're all trying.
Everything you're saying applies to you.
Yeah.
And so thank you and Doug in Nashville.